Ruhollah Musavi Khomeini was born on September 22, 1902 in Kuhoman, Markazi province. He was raised by his mother. In 1903, his dad was murdered. Throughout his childhood, he got religious studies from his relatives. He went to study Islamic seminary in Iraq, Iran in 1920. Then, a year later, he transferred to the holy city of Qom. Khomeini studied Greek philosophy, and he taught political philosophy. The leader of Iran, Reza Shah, weakened the powers of religious leaders and promoted a more government-controlled country. The most powerful religious figures in Iran remained silent and encouraged their followers to do the same. One of these was Khomeini. The current Ayatollah died, and Khomeini was in a position to take up the mantle left behind by the late religious leader. Khomeini made a speech suggesting that the Shah did not change the political direction of Iran. The people would be happy to see him leave the country. As a result, Khomeini was arrested and held in prison. During his incarceration, people took the streets with cries for his release and were met by the government with military force. After delivering another speech in the fall of 1964, Khomeini was arrested and deported to Turkey. Prevented by Turkish law from wearing the traditional clothes of Shia, Khomeini took residence of Najaf, Iraq in September 1965. He remained there for 13 years. He began making videotapes and got them smuggled into Iranian bazaars. Eventually, Khomeini became accepted leader of the Iranian opposition to the government of the Shah. In 1975, crowds gathered for 3 days at religious school in Qom. They could only be moved by military force. In response to Khomeini released a jubilant statement in support of the protesters. He said that freedom and liberation from the bonds of imperialism was immense. More protests occurred in 1978 in Khomeini's defense and were again put down violently by Iranian forces. The Shah felt that Khomeini's exile in Iraq was too nearby for comfort. Soon after, Khomeini was confronted by Iraqi soldiers and given a choice to either stay in Iraq and abandon all political activity or leave the country. He chose to leave. Then he moved to Paris. The year of his return, 1979, mere months after he moved to Paris. People and the military all took the street in protest. The Shah turned to the U.S. for help, but ultimately had to leave the country himself in the face of the revolution at his doorstep. Khomeini was widely acknowledged as the new leader of Iran. He came to be known as the supreme leader. He returned home to cheering crowds and began laying the groundwork for Islamic State he had so long been imagining. During this period, as he was ruler, he put together things to work on, like writing an Islamic constitution for Iran. He also began writing more authoritarian sentiments than before, like, "Don't listen to those who speak of democracy. They are all against Islam. They want to take the nation away from its mission. We will break the poison pens of those who speak of nationalism, democracy, and such things." The Shah needed a place to serve out his exile. The U.S. let him into the country. In protest, a group of Iranians took 52 American hostages at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran on November 4th, 1979. The Iranians saw this as a chance to demonstrate their new Iranian defiance of Western influence. The new Iranian government and the Carter administration of the UN entered a standoff that wouldn't end until Ronald Reagan's inauguration in late January of 1981. This took 444 days to end. We are going to reenact the hostage crisis in Iran. That's what we think it looked like.
Helicopter.
Distance 600 miles before we need to reach our refueling station. Desert 1. We've lost one helicopter already. He broke down. Don't worry. We got a replacement helicopter. I'm a helicopter.
I'm a plane. Gotta land. Oh wait, there's already a helicopter there. Coming in too hot.
Helicopter! Huh? 8 people died! 8 people are dying! Explosion! Operation Eagle Claw was the failed mission of the U.S. government under the Carter administration. The mission was to rescue the hostages, but they never even got past the refueling point called Desert 1. A helicopter with broken rotors hit a plane on the refueling point and everything blew up. 8 people died. Toward the end of his life, he began a war with Iraq that lasted 8 years, and it started over a border dispute when Iraq invaded Iran. This caused an untold number of deaths. The war ended when American military intervention on behalf of the Iraqis. Khomeini was forced to accept a ceasefire agreement. He called this compromise more deadly than taking poison. He died June 3rd, 1989. Iran is still a religion-based society. Khomeini's life work will continue to influence the country into the future.